Hello, how's it going? Sunny here. Just wanted to spend a little time tonight to make a fun little making of video. So 3 weeks ago, I filmed a DJ feature of the one and only DJ Glowworm. It was a lot of fun. I had a blast making it, and I love making these because really, she's amazing. She sounds freaking incredible. So I really wanted to, showcase her work. And this is the second one I've done. The first one being for Topher. Shout out to Topher. But we received a lot of love. And by the way, thank you so much if you checked it out. If you haven't, it's on the MUX Instagram, MUX Flow. But yeah, this is something that honestly is still pretty new to me. I'm not really normally a videographer. I'm really just a musician. But I thought still I'd like to share my process and the little details that went into it. So for this one, I wanted to step it up a little bit and give a little bit more storytelling aspect. So that's why I filmed a lot of it in Marin's car and then some with her car. So yeah, I'm gonna show you what the setup was in the studio, the gear that I used, the lighting, my editing process, all that fun stuff. But yeah, let me show you what it looked like in the studio. Okay, so first of all, my main camera. This is the Sony a7 IV. It's great, it's my beloved. With it, I have a 24mm lens. For most part of the shoot in the studio anyway, I left the aperture at f1.4. So that's my main camera. And then I also have this cute little thing. This is my old camera. This is the Canon 100D, or whatever the American name is. I think it's Rebel SL1. Yep. So this one really. Oh, by the way, I have a 50mm lens on this, but this is not a full frame camera. This is APS-C. So it's, I believe, the 85mm equivalent if I was using full frame. But this one, essentially, I had glowworm over there, tripod here for the main camera, and then I was doing side profile shots with this one. So yep, lighting here. So this is my key light. By the way, it wasn't really exactly like this because I just kind of recreated the scene to make this video. But essentially, I had key light here, and then LED tube here. It's kind of hard to see, but it's actually teal here. Yep, it's teal. So glowworm here, DJ Glowworm, my fault, not just glowworm, DJ Glowworm here, and key light, and also just a little ring light to give it some color. So I can show you what it looks like if I turn the office lights off. My phone is gonna overexpose it a little bit. This is, approximately what it looked like. But yeah, a little bit of Christmas lights in the back. And then I just thought purple looked really good on glowworm, so I had my drums purple. When I was filming, I also had my phone here to record audio because I don't really have an external mic, and I didn't really want to just rely on this camera's audio. So I had my phone here, just a second stream of audio, and also just because your phone actually has pretty good microphones. I mean, that's like its main job. So yeah, I had my phone here, and then last but not least, so this is the setup for in the studio. But when I was filming her spinning, or also when I was filming in the car, I used this handy little light, this super cute thing. See? This is the MC Pro. So yeah, for the car scenes, I really just took my camera out and then just use this. But yep, this is the setup. Quick point I wanted to make here. So this time around when I was filming, I was kind of doing everything. I set up these cameras, I set up these slides, I was holding a camera, I was doing a lot of the interviewing, and even though it was barely manageable, I must say I don't really recommend it, and it's something that I plan to change next time around. I'll probably at least get an assistant to help with some of this, because even though it was okay, I definitely thought I could have done a better job on each of those things if someone was just behind it, you know, dedicated to one thing. So yeah, there's a reason why usually there's a separate director from a cinematographer, from a gaffer person or a lighting person. Yeah, I kind of understand that now. No, that was kind of insane. But yeah, I just wanted to make a quick point. Okay, so this is my prep sheet for the shoot. So basically, what started this entire process was a phone call that I had with DJ Glowworm. And basically I was like, hey, I like to do this shoot, and she said, okay, cool. And then I showed her Topher's video and I was like, I like to do an interview, but also I like to tell a story. So at first I was thinking I like to see how she picks her tracks, or like her track selection process, because I'm also personally interested. Like, she plays amazing tracks. So then I thought maybe we could do something at like a record store, or say somewhere where she normally listens to new tracks. And then she was like, oh, I normally listen in my car. And that's when I was like, okay, say less. Let's film your car. She was like, okay, no problem. Thank you, by the way. If you're listening to this, Marianne, thank you so much for letting me do this. But yeah, after getting the okay, I started planning for it. And one thing I thought to do was to have some tracks ready for her to listen to and get her fresh reaction to what she thought about those tracks, whether she would use it in a set, that kind of thing. So I had these ready, which admittedly I actually didn't use them because I found a different track the day of that I chose to show her, which was from Black Dynamite. Okay, and then I had a drive route because, you know, I want to be safe. We basically just drove around UMass Boston, so we were just going around a circle. And then I had some shots pre-planned, obviously the interview, some footage of her DJing, the side profile as I mentioned, and all of this you will see being used in the video, so go check it out. And then this time around, I decided to really make sure I have B-roll, both in the studio and in the car. Because when I did the one for Topher, I didn't film any B-roll. Again, beginner mistakes. But that made it so that I had to rip some stuff off of Topher's Instagram to use as transitions, and I really didn't want to do that this time. So yep, B-roll. And then specifically, I already envisioned using the car as a transition. So I planned some shots with, you know, just Glowworm with her car and like a cute door closing thing. Very proud of that shot, or proud of the fact that I planned it. Yep, super cute. Some questions here, you can pause and read it if you want. Guidelines, yeah, pretty self-explanatory stuff. So yep, so this was the prep sheet. So she came to my studio and we filmed, and whoops, spoiler alert. So this is the files. This is my folder. It's a lot, obviously. We filmed a decent amount. We filmed around 2 hours of footage, and admittedly, we honestly probably didn't have to film that much, but again, me as a beginner videographer, I just thought, yeah, it doesn't really hurt. it will cover my bases. It gives me a little more leeway to make some mistakes. So probably made my process longer, but it worked. So I didn't really mind it. So this is the main camera, my A7 IV, and then these are the side profile ones from my 100D. And then, as I mentioned, I use my phone to record audio. So these are the two phone audios, one in the studio and one in the car. So I put all this in Resolve. Oh, almost forgot about this. So I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but at some point, some of the shots I did outside were a little bit shaky just because I don't really have a gimbal, which is natural. It was just handheld, but in order to fix that, I use Topaz Video AI. Basically, it's software that honestly, it's freaking amazing. It does sharpen, it does increasing resolution. It also lets you stabilize and also do increase the frame rate. So I did two of those things. I stabilized it and also I increased the frame rate for some shots so that I can use slow-mo. Kind of specific, but if you were a little bit into videography, you will understand. And if you don't understand, it's okay. It's not a big deal. But basically, I use Topaz Video for that. Okay, now on to Resolve. So I do use DaVinci Resolve. Shout out to Resolve for being basically free. I haven't paid for Resolve, and that's how I do all my videos. So it's pretty amazing. First thing I did was to line up the audio, and honestly it kind of was pretty nice to have just one huge audio file. That's essentially how I did timecode, because I don't actually know how to use timecode. So I just lined everything up to the phone audio. So you can see studio phone and my camera audio. So I lined everything up, and then I started listening through the whole thing. And second thing I did was to really label dialogue, because obviously we're not going to use the entire 2 hours, not even close. The final video ended up being 8.5 minutes, and even that I thought was maybe a little bit long. But in order to trim it down, I would just listen to the whole thing and start labeling clips to remember what she said, and hopefully find something that I thought was good enough to keep. So this took a long freaking time. In and of itself, it took maybe like 5 hours to go through 2 hours of footage. You know what I mean? Probably longer. I don't really remember. But okay, so I labeled a bunch, and then really I'm slowly getting to learn material. Remember what she said, remember the highlights. So you can see it's a little bit of loose color coding here. Deep pink means amazing. I'm gonna use that somewhere. So yep, I labeled all of it. And I must say, DJ Glowworm really was just such an eloquent speaker, and there was a lot of material that I thought was super interesting, but ultimately, unfortunately, didn't make it to the cut. So I can show you here. Let's see. So beyond just how she started, she also mentioned how DJing made her become sober as a person. I thought that was super interesting, albeit maybe a little personal. I don't know if she would be fully comfortable having that just like broadcasted to public. But that's cool. That's some real personal history that I thought possibly people would have wanted to know. Ultimately, I didn't put it in the video, but yeah, that's there. She talked a lot about Bjork, her being a collaborator, and her blending of pop and club music. I can play you some of it here.
I love Bjork. I love she's my favorite artist. Like if I had to pick one, I just think she's Like, as far as creativity goes, you never know what she's gonna do. I just loved her as an artist. She's probably the first artist that like changed my life as a kid.
There you go. Super cool. Didn't make it to the cut, but I thought that was all super interesting. She also talked about really being a dancer before she was a DJ and how dancing inspires her. All that fun stuff. But really, I wanted to capture first and foremost in this feature how intuitive she was as a player. And she eventually, I noticed that she talked a lot about listening and her listening process, and I'm like, perfect. That really sealed the deal into how I wanted to tell her story. So yeah, that's what I based the feature around, and that's how I chose how to shape the dialogue and what flows before, what flows after. So that's how I decided all of that. I was a little smarter this time. I duplicate the timeline, and then so this I can just keep there. It's not destructive. I didn't really delete anything. And then I make a new timeline to rearrange it. So now I'm actually rearranging the dialogue so that it kind of forms more of a story, and it makes sense, and because a lot of what was on the video wasn't really set in that exact order, so I kind of rearrange it so that it flows a little more nicely. So yep, I did that here. And then I also had to mix the audio a little bit, and I can show you my audio side here. So admittedly, honestly, as a musician, mixing is one of my biggest weaknesses, but nonetheless, I had a chain, and I assume it's pretty decent if you're going by videographer standards. First of all, because my phone was only recording on the side, so it kind of felt like you can only hear the dialogue from your left ear. So I had to fix that. I made just pretty simple fix. I just made it almost mono. And then this plugin is doing crazy work. This plugin removes basically most of the background noise, which was really, really crucial because in my studio, the walls are not super thick. So sometimes you could hear other musicians playing music while the interview was happening, but this was able to more or less remove most of that. And even just regular noise like heaters, whatever, AC. Yeah, this is an insane plugin. Let me show you a quick example here. So I'm gonna solo DJ Glowworm's voice, and then let me turn it off first. So this is what it came sounding like from the camera straight.
It was different from techno, was different. Like, I didn't have the knowledge of any of that.
Okay, let me turn it on and show you what it sounds like now.
Bass was different from techno, was different. Like, I didn't have the knowledge of any of that. So it was just a...
Boom! Isn't that crazy? That's insane. Very, very glad that I got this plugin. It's crazy. And it was to the point where for the car scene, so you'll see here, outside A74, look. I actually had to put some of the ambience back because it was just so eerily quiet. It kind of defeated the whole purpose of the car scene. So yeah, this is clear. Some simple compression, a little bit of de-esser to make it less harsh. And then I experimented with some reverb, even though I barely dialed it in, just to make the dialogue a little clearer, or like stand out in the mix a little bit. But also, very important, I had limiter so that everything is competitively loud. You don't want your things too soft on Instagram. People are gonna click away. So yep, that's my audio chain. Okay, I'm gonna try to speed up because there's a lot to go through. But mix the audio, rearrange the dialogue, and then so I duplicate again, and then it's starting to become more and more together, right? I'm like, at this point, pretty sure most of the dialogue is going to be set in place. So that's when the music comes in. By the way, the music part was not at all simple, but I must admit it was my comfort zone. So if you really listen to the songs that were used, you might realize they don't sound at all the same with what was used in the video. I had to do a lot of edits. For example, the Hyper Day one. Here. Everyone recognizes the intro, or I hope you do, because you checked it out. But listen to what happens to the song right after the intro. So this is the second half. Boom. It's not quite the same, you know? That was what the song originally was. So yeah, I changed a lot of it. Other cute things like I would do like echoes on the drums. Yep, that really is all me. That doesn't exist in the song anywhere. And I did like a little reverse thing on the piano. Cute things like that. Yeah. You know, what can I say? This was fun to make, but it also is my specialty. So that was, yeah, I just made it. Another crazy thing here. So the Goji one had a beautiful sample, which I really wanted to use, but check this out.
I think almost everybody would say that we are human if we can love.
This sample is not originally at this part of the song. So what I did was I ripped the sample out with lalao.ai. It's a website. And then I got it by itself.
I think almost everybody would say that we are human.
And then really I place it at a different part of the song. You can see the cut here. So yeah, it's like a lot of little sneaky things like that. But because I was able to finesse that, I was really able to match the timing of the dialogue that I had set. See, including a little intro spot, talk for this amount of time, and then into the car scene, which has no music, and then finally using the Goji song to close the video out. And throughout, as I edited, sometimes I would have to add 5-10 seconds to each part, which was no problem. I would usually just loop one section to make that happen. So okay, did the music edit, put the music in, and then let's see, what did I do? Okay, and then I also beyond just doing the chain, now I also went through each video voice clip and really picked which one sounded the best between the phone and the camera, because sometimes it would change. Sometimes I'm like fiddling with my jacket that is closer to the camera and it will make a noise, or sometimes the band from next door is playing and the phone audio receive less of that sound. So yeah, you can see me going back and forth here. And then I also have to pick when I'm using the second camera, so you can see a little bit of that here. Sometimes she will look better on one camera than the other, so that's when I cut it in. And it's just a little bit of extra interest. So then came intro cuts. So a lot of this is just blur. Some of it is assets that I already made from doing the last one with Topher. This is really just my creativity. Just like, okay, I hear 3 chord stabs. I'm just gonna do some P&P. Admittedly, honestly, this is me again, my beginnerness showing. I only did this because there's nothing else I knew how to do. I mean, I don't really know how to do crazy transitions with the glitches and all that. So I'm just like, okay, let me just picture in picture, the most simple thing. I think it worked. It was okay. So that's the intro. Again, the transition in the middle, it was just kind of me winging it. You know, I had some horizontal shots and then vertical shots, and I kind of combined them. Cute little arrow asset here. Yeah, that was just me, just trying to be creative. Okay. After that came to color grade, which took me a pretty long time because, again, I'm trying to improve and experience some growing pains. So this time around, I really wanted to color grade for real, so to speak, you know, or at least improve my color grading. So that is exactly what I did. I can show you my color grade here. By the way, when I was filming in the studio, I didn't really know how to do log footage just yet. I've since learned, but yeah, at the time of filming this, I actually didn't use log. It was just Sony's default color profile, which was okay. I did think it probably made the color grading a little bit more difficult, but it was manageable. But okay, here is my color grade. Looks kind of intimidating for people who don't do color, but I can go through it pretty quickly. These are pretty self-explanatory. By the way, let me show you before after. This is before, this is after. Let me show you another one. Before, and this is after. Before, after, before, after. So yeah, I think I did a pretty good grade. I can show you quickly what each of these things do. Exposure. I usually like to have the footage a little bit underexposed when I film because I find it easier to turn it up than to turn things down. Would be less of a problem if I did log footage, but again, I didn't really know how when I did it. So contrast, balance. So balance really to me just means color in general. And then I did this new thing where I'm kind of drawing a window on my subject. I don't actually always put something into this, but what that lets me do is when I do an outside node, by the way, this is it's gonna be a lot to explain. So basically anything outside of the subject I can manipulate. So this is how I do vignetting now. So I drew a circle around glowworm. Anything outside, I can make it darker, or I can do something like put some color into it. So you see how this is a little purple, that's coming from here as well. Skin tone, whatever. Because I didn't film in log, I thought sometimes the light was a little too harsh on her skin. So sometimes I would do things like removing some detail close to her skin to make things a little bit smoother. And then this says grain, but it's not actually grain. This is just me retuning the color a little bit messy towards the end, but yeah. I'm okay. So yeah, that was the color grade. Okay, moving on. After doing the grade, that's almost pretty much done. It's just that I needed to do subtitles, which simple, but it took a freaking ton of time because, you know, this is just a longer video. It's like 8-minute video. So that took me a while. And then I added grain to the footage. So the way I do that, because I don't have Resolve Pro, is it's just a trick on YouTube that I found. But yeah, this is this noise gradient thing. It works. You just look it up on YouTube. I use grain just simply because I think it looks better and it's part of the MUX aesthetic. So yep, there it is. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The editing process took around a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. And admittedly, I did spend a lot of time in that week and a half. I think around 80 hours just editing. Yeah, it was pretty brutal. I remember I was gonna go to New York that weekend. Shout out to our new social media person, Melly. And I really wanted to finish the video before going to New York, and I really tried my best, and I just sat down and edited non-stop. But still, there's just so much work, and I ended up having to bring the video to New York. I was editing on the train, I was editing in the hotel room. It was a lot, but come the end of that weekend, the next day the video dropped, and it was a blast. I loved it. DJ Glowworm was just amazing to work with, and obviously beloved by the community, and we got a lot of love for the video, and I'm so happy I did it. Just wanted to quick little bragging moment that 6 months ago I didn't know how to do any of this. All I had was a little bit of photography background, so I knew how to, expose an image, and I knew how to compose an angle, so to speak, but I never had done any video. I never even had Resolve installed on my computer. So yeah, all of this is very new. I'm proud of it, but also that is to say, if anyone wants to do it, they totally can. I just learned most of this through YouTube. So yeah, hopefully this is useful to you, or encouraging at the very least. And once again, if you checked out the video or showed it some love, thank you so much. It really means a lot. But yeah, until next time, I'll see ya.
Don't even know if that was the original question. However, that's that's something. Hi. Wait.
Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you for that. You'd think after I've been doing this for like a lot of years, but you'd think I'd be like a pro by now, but it's the same.
Go and wave. You're late! Ready, go.